Every disruption forces a choice. You either evolve or you stay left behind. Leadership cannot be outsourced to algorithms. Leadership cannot be automated. Human in the lead means knowing when to trust the system and when to override it. This means building teams that don't blindly follow output, teams that question AI, teams that challenge and understand the limits of the machine. That is what human in the lead means. You don't completely outsource everything to artificial intelligence. Relevance is a moving target. It's not a permanent status. You can be relevant today. Your business can be relevant now. The bigger question is, will your business be relevant tomorrow? Will your business be relevant next month? Will your business be relevant next year? And relevance is rented. The rent is due every day. That era where AI or technology in general was for the IT department, that era is over. Because disruption is global. It is not just in South Africa. It is not just in one business sector. It is everywhere. Disruption is no longer something that happens somewhere else to someone else. It's happening everywhere to everyone all at once. A few lines of code, a new viral app can shift customer expectations overnight. It no longer takes years for disruption to shift the market. It takes weeks. Think of when ChatGPT hit the market and how everything in business changed. Almost overnight. That is how fast the new models of business or the new disruption is changing the world today. So whether you're in finance, you're in agriculture, whatever business you are, you're in government, you have to understand that disruption is here and is here to stay. As I have been introduced, my name is Nicky. I am the author of the book titled Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. And my new book just came out, AI, Humanity's Greatest Frenemy, which I'm very excited about. And I don't know if there's anyone in the room who has heard about me before today, except the people from Cape Town. If you were in Cape Town with me, you don't count. All right, I see a few hands up. Okay, I see a new hand over there. Now, this is a big room, and the only one person from that corner knows me. You know, my friends have been telling me that I'm very famous. Apparently, they have been lying to me, you know. So I am very passionate about technology and, you know, bridging the gap between humans and technology and any conversation that has to do with tech and artificial intelligence. And so this afternoon, we are going to have fun. I always say as a speaker, one of the most difficult audiences is the early morning audience, you know, those 8 a.m., 9 a.m. audience, where people are still half asleep, and then the audience immediately after lunch. I don't mean this one. This one is very awake, right? So please don't sleep on me. Promise me we're going to do this together. Hello? All right, cool. Thank you. My daughter one day came to me and said she wanted us to play a game together, which I was not very keen on playing this game with her, but she insisted. You know, when a child insists, you're like, okay, let's do this, but I don't know how to play the game. So she told me, any parents in the room, by the way? All right, there are a few hands up, so you can relate. So she told me she would teach me the rules of the game, and then we'll play the game. I said, okay, sure. She showed me the rules of the game. I was like, okay, got it. All right, let's do this. So we started the game, and I was making sure that she should not win. I blocked every move, everything that she had to do to win, I blocked it. Don't look at me like that. Like, how can a parent be trying to win to win a child? Like, I'm that parent. You're a better parent than me. But that day, I was like, she is not going to win me. Because if this child wins, I will never hear the end of it. She will rub it on my face over and over and over and over. And I said, nope, you are not going to win. And at some point, she looked at me and said, Mom, play to win, not just to block your opponent. And those words have stayed with me since that interaction with my child. And because I'm in this space, and I relate that to how some leaders and some businesses are reacting to artificial intelligence, like playing defense, the way I was playing defense, right? They don't really want to win in this game. They just want to defend whatever processes had worked for them in the past. They just want to defend the old roles, the old mindsets. They just want to defend. And if you are playing defense in this age and time, you are essentially playing a losing game. And so the conversation we're going to have today is around the new rules for business relevance and how AI is reshaping the marketplace, right? Like I've already mentioned, playing defense. Too many leaders are playing defense, trying to block AI threats, right? They don't want to thrive. They just want to minimize the risk and just survive. But defense is a losing strategy. And leaders who play defense focus only on protecting legacy models. They focus on protecting existing rules. And they focus on protecting yesterday's success formulas. So this means that instead of asking how can they win with AI, they're asking how can we protect what we have built up to this point. Old success formulas will no longer work in the new era, in the new business landscape that we are in now. The rules that applied 5, 10 years ago are no longer the same rules that are applying in business today. So if you are playing defense, you are essentially playing a losing game. And there's what I call the AI containment illusion, which is the idea for most business leaders or for some people that they can contain this technology. They can put it in a bottle and lock it away or keep it safe in some corner and adopt it later, you know? But it doesn't work like that. This technology is moving, whether you adopt it or not. It is inherently exponential. And so conversations become limiting AI use, delaying these adoptions, creating layers of approval, or pushing it down to the IT department as a technical project. But that era where AI or technology in general was for the IT department, that era is over. Everyone in an organization becomes part of whatever is happening, not just the IT team. And you can delay adoption inside your own organization. You can delay adoption maybe in your own particular business, but you can't delay it globally. Can you? You cannot delay it with your competitors. Because as you are delaying adoption, for whatever reasons, the competition is going ahead. They are adopting it. And you cannot compete with someone who is using artificial intelligence. Again, leaders who are playing defense, they're building walls instead of channels, right? I asked AI to create for me this image, and I think it did a pretty good job, right? Of how leaders are building walls to hide AI, like, no, don't step out. Just stay there. That is your box. You remain there. But trying to contain AI is like trying to hold a river or trying to stop a river. Anyone ever tried to stop a river before? It doesn't work. You can build walls around a river. You can slow it down. You can redirect it. You can delay it, but eventually it is going to break through. Eventually, it is going to, the pressure will build so much that it can no longer be contained in that particular environment. So if you focus only on that, you, again, are playing a losing battle. And Deepak Chopra once said, every time you are tempted to react in the same old way, as if you want to be a prisoner of the past or a pioneer of the future. And this quote is more relevant today than ever before. Pioneers or prisoners of the past, what do? They resist, they delay, they justify, and they focus on what AI might take away. What if AI take away our jobs? What if we have to lay off some people? God forbid. What if something goes wrong? What if AI bring in some sort of risk that we are not prepared for? They do all of these what if, and then they protect the past. But pioneers, what do? They adapt, explore, reinvent, embrace change, and experiment even when things are still unclear. That's what early adopters do, which essentially means you are the pioneer of the future. Because protecting the past does not prepare any business for the future. And in fact, pioneers don't wait for the future, they build it. So as a business leader in the house, are you building the future or are you protecting the past? Because every disruption forces a choice, and there's no neutral ground. You either evolve or you stay left behind. There is no neutral ground at all. And this is the ways in which AI is reshaping the marketplace, right? AI is lowering traditional barriers to entry. In the past, competing in many industries required large teams and significant capital and specialized expertise, things you could say, okay, well, we don't have, right? But today, smaller organizations equipped with AI tools can access capabilities that were once available only to large businesses. That is the difference. That is how AI is reshaping the landscape and the market. Why not take advantage of that? AI is shifting changing how value is being created, which is from labor-intensive models to intelligent-driven models, where data, algorithm, and automation amplify human capabilities. Do you want to still rely heavily on manual work, or do you want to partner with artificial intelligence? Because AI will unlock new levels of productivity that you didn't even think were possible when you adopt the technology. And the third way in which AI is reshaping the marketplace is that customer expectations are changing overnight. We're going to get to it as I go, but you have to understand that customers today are not like the customers of the past. Customers today want things at the snap of a finger. So if your business is not providing that to customers, you are going to be left behind. So the choice is simple: embrace AI or fall behind. And this means you have to move away from protecting, move away from playing defense, move away from fear of what if, and start asking important questions. Where can AI expand our capabilities? How can we use AI to expand our businesses or to create new business models? Where can it challenge our assumptions, and where must human judgment be amplified? Because disruption is global. It is not just in South Africa. It is not just in one business sector. It is everywhere. Disruption is no longer something that happens somewhere else to someone else. It's happening everywhere to everyone all at once. If we think of Uber, when the disruption of Uber happened, it disrupted only the taxi industry. Am I right? Everyone in hospitality did not care about that. It was one particular industry, and even Airbnb, one of the famous disruptions we know about, it disrupted hospitality. It didn't care about transportation, hospitality industry. But today, AI is disrupting every single aspect of business today. That is the disruption we are dealing with. And what used to take decades to disrupt an industry, for example, when the cell phone came into the market, it took years for adoption and for the particular technology to disrupt the marketplace or even the world at large. But today, a few lines of code, a new viral app, can shift customer expectations overnight. It no longer takes years for disruption to shift the market. It takes weeks. Think of when ChatGPT hit the market and how everything in business changed. Almost overnight. That is how fast the new models of business or the new disruption is changing the world today. So whether you're in finance, you're in agriculture, whatever business you are, you're in government, you have to understand that disruption is here and it's here to stay. And resistance is more riskier than change. So you have to disrupt, rethink, reinvent, and reposition yourself. Because resistance makes you easier to disrupt by new entrants in the market. New people that are just shooting up can disrupt an entire industry if you're not paying attention. Because clinging to old system and manual processes does not protect you at all. It slows you down. If you're going to rely on doing things manually, you cannot compete with those that are adopting the technology. And so, what is your perception of artificial intelligence? I always like to do this exercise because perception is important. What do you think when you hear the words artificial intelligence? What comes to mind? Anybody can answer. What comes to mind when you hear the word AI, artificial intelligence? Hello? Okay, if I lock eyes with you, I'll just point you. Hallucination, good one. Lance has broken the ice. All right, wake up now. Okay. Robots, good one. There are no wrong or right answers, all right? So, yes. Efficiency, good one.
You're concerned that it could be eradicate the human element. That's negative.
It concerns that.
Eradicate the human element.
Oh, yeah, the existential risk, right? Take away humanity. When I ask this question, sometimes somebody will always in the room says, the Terminator, right? Because that is the familiar thing people know about artificial intelligence. That's somehow the one face of AI that people hold on to. But there is a slide that I will get to that and I will explain the difference between all of that. So anyone else want to try? Assistant. It's an assistant, yes? Absolutely. A great assistant, actually. Mm-hmm. Did you have lunch? Looks like they ate food and nobody gave you anything.
Automation.
Automation. That's the famous one, right? Anyone else want to try? All right, these are all good answers, right? Because perception is critical. What do you think of AI? What you think of AI impacts your relationship with AI. Your perception of AI impacts how you relate with the technology. If you see me as an enemy, when I'm coming towards you, what do? You either freezes, tense up, or change direction, right? Because you don't want to come in contact with an enemy. So if you see AI as something that is bad, you are going to avoid it, even subconsciously. So you have to redefine your perception of artificial intelligence. What do you think about it? You think about it as something that is coming to destroy humanity, or are you thinking about it as something that is coming to enhance humanity? And two things can be true at the same time, because these two aspects I've just mentioned are true, depending on how we build this technology. But exactly, if you hold under one view of the technology, that this is bad, this is a threat, you're going to react to it negatively. And if you hold under one view also that, oh, this is perfect, this is the ultimate solution to humans' problem, this is the best thing since sliced bread. If you hold under the positive view as well, you can also find yourself in hot water, because you would think this is a god and you cannot question, right? Again, when some people think of AI, this is the mental picture they have in their minds, right? I've already mentioned something that is coming to attack humanity and destroy humanity and take over humanity. This impacts how you relate with the technology. In my new book, I'm talking about AI as humanity's greatest frenemy. I call it a frenemy because, again, two things can be true at the same time. AI is not just a friend and it's not just an enemy. It is a frenemy. And how do you navigate a frenemy? How do you work with a frenemy? These are questions that we have to answer as humans. How do we balance that? So we'll look at a few roles for business relevance today. And the very first role is adopt AI or compete against those who do. Again, there's no neutral ground, right? If you're not adopting, you're competing with someone who is adopting. And you know that there's a big gap between someone who is relying entirely on manual system or technology and someone who is actually adopting the new technology. Because previously, competitive advantage came from things that were difficult to replicate. Capital, scale, infrastructure, distribution networks, access to information. Yes, some businesses could give an excuse, we don't have enough capital, we don't have enough infrastructure. But today, you don't have to buy the entire infrastructure. You can rent it, right? Today, things are becoming so easy. You can have access to that. A small AI-enabled team today can outperform entire departments that are still operating manually. That is the advantage of artificial intelligence. A small team can analyze markets, generate insight, create marketing campaigns, write codes, and design products at a speed that was unimaginable just a few years ago. Things that could have taken a team perhaps months to complete, projects that could have taken months or weeks to complete, can now be completed in a couple of hours, maybe a few days. That is the power of artificial intelligence. An assistant, as someone said. Because market dominance is no longer about longevity. You can argue and say, oh, Nicky, but we have been in the market for so long. We don't need this AI story you're telling us. But market dominance is no longer defined only by longevity. In the past, longevity, of course, built advantage, brand recognition, distribution, and trust. But today, AI native companies can enter markets fast, like almost overnight. How many people were aware when DeepSeek entered the market out of nowhere and caused a lot of panic? Almost overnight, completely disrupted the marketplace and competing with people that were already in the market, like OpenAI, for a few years. Almost on the same level. That is how fast, with the adoption of AI, a business can compete. So new businesses today, or companies today, you don't need decades to build your brand or recognition. You need leverage. And without artificial intelligence, you cannot have the level of leverage that will take you to that position. Peter Diamandis said, by 2030, there will be two types of businesses. One, those that utilize AI, and those that are out of business. So the question is, where will your business be? Number one or number two? Because I strongly believe that without AI in your business, there is no way you will survive. Your business cannot survive the disruption if you're watching from the sidelines. if you are sitting on the fence, if you are like, you know what, we've always done it this way and we prefer it this way, you will not survive the disruption. Because companies that fully utilize AI will move faster, make better decisions, reduce costs, and of course, scale with fewer resources. Because competing without AI today is like competing without electricity. When load shedding is taken for an hour, imagine the panic we go through. And we're checking our time. Oh my God, it's coming back at 3 p.m. today. Did I say 3? When it's 3 and it's not there, you text your neighbor, do you have electricity? That is where we are going. AI is going to be the business infrastructure of the future, just like electricity. So if you are competing, trying to compete in the market today without artificial intelligence, you are actually trying to compete in the dark, which means you're competing without electricity. Thank God load shedding is over now, but we know when it was intense, the panic, the fear, and those who had generators and those who did not. Think about it. How much businesses struggle through the time of load shedding. And we have something very similar in our hands. And some people are still like, let's wait and see what happens. That's a dangerous game. How many people know of a Nokia phone? Hello? I cannot be the only old person in this place. The collapse of Nokia. This magazine was a Forbes magazine, 2007, November 2007. It was the same year that the first iPhone was launched in the market. And the CEO of Nokia then was on the cover of the magazine, and he said, 1 billion customers who can catch the cell phone king. What a day. Think about that. They knew they were untouchable. They were a global leader in mobile phones with scale and brand power and market share that seemed impossible to challenge. But that dominance did not save Nokia. It didn't protect Nokia. We all know how the story ended, right? For the Gen Zs in the house, you can ask your neighbor, right, what is Nokia? What am I talking about? Or you can quickly Google. The iPhone Pro Max 17 today was the Nokia 3310 back then, all right? Yep. I told you guys I'm old. But today, there's no cell phone in the market called Nokia. Or is there? Maybe I've lost track. There's none. These were the market leaders 15 years or so ago. Cell phone market leaders. How big it was. Anyone in the room here has 1 billion customers? By a show of hands. Meaning that none of us here were even at the level of Nokia. But where is Nokia today? That is what happens when you don't pay attention to what is happening in the market. That is what happens when you don't adjust fast enough. No business is too big to fail. No one is too big to be disrupted. Nokia didn't fail because they lacked resources. They didn't fail because they didn't have customers. Hello? You might be sitting here saying, oh my God, I wish I could have just 1 more customer, 3 more customers. I just need customers, please, more customers. Nokia didn't fail because they lacked customers. They had 1 billion customers who can catch the cell phone king. And it wasn't just Nokia. How many people remember Kodak? BlackBerry. These were the brands. What happened? They ignored the disruption that was happening in the market. They told themselves no, they were fine. I will just be fine, like we have the market share. Have you seen our customer base? What are you talking about? What is iPhone? What is that again? Hello? So the longer a company has been in the market, the greater the risk of being disrupted by those with nothing to lose and everything to prove. There could be a teenager somewhere building a system in their mother's basement that can disrupt your business, that can disrupt the world, that can disrupt the entire marketplace. And if they launch it, this can happen in the matter of hours, not weeks, not months, not decades like in the past. A new app can be launched tonight that can completely shift how you see business and how you do business. So in today's world, disruption doesn't wait for legacy players to catch up. You can be a market leader today and irrelevant tomorrow if you just talk about Nokia. So innovation isn't just about improving what you have now. It is about anticipating what's next, anticipating where is AI going next, anticipating is this just a bubble? There's a chapter in my book called AI is not a bubble. If you're waiting for the bubble to burst, I have bad news for you. It's not going to burst. It's not. Yes, there may be market crashes, there may be companies that are overvalued and they will soon be kicked out of the market, but the technology itself is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And relevance is rented. The rent is due every day. A business like Nokia wanted to buy Relevance and sit with it and say, we own it, this belongs to us. But they forgot that the rent had to be paid every day. Relevance is a moving target. It's not a permanent status. You can be relevant today. Your business can be relevant now. The bigger question is, will your business be relevant tomorrow? Will your business be relevant next month? Will your business be relevant next year? Yes, it is relevant now. No doubt about it. You haven't filed for bankruptcy yet, so it's relevant. But how about a month? How about a year from now? How about 5 years from now? How about 10 years from now? You have to keep renewing the subscription, literally and figuratively, because again, with the way the world is, you don't have to buy all the tools upfront and pay huge amounts upfront. Subscription-based, figuratively and literally. That's the advantage of the world in which we are living today. Markets shift, technologies evolve, and AI is accelerating the pace of change. Innovation cycles are now way shorter. Customer expectations, I've already mentioned this, can change overnight. AI is rapidly transforming what customers expect from organizations. Many of us sitting in the room here, we don't want to stand queues in the bank, do we? Then imagine a bank that insists you must come to the bank. We want to get up and do our financial transactions from the comfort of our home while watching Netflix, right? Then think of a bank that says, nah, we are not doing this digital stuff. We have our tellers, they will help you when you come into the branch. They cannot compete. They can't. Because speed, personalization, responsiveness, and seamless interaction are the new battlegrounds. We want to snap our fingers like that, and pizza is at the door. You want to snap your finger, and a taxi is at the door. That is what customers want. Instant everything, 24/7 availability, personalized experiences, proactive problem solving. That's what customers want. That is the customer experience. If your business doesn't give it, they will go to the business that can give them. If your customers no longer want to talk to actual humans and say, we want AI, humans are rude. Oh my God, they're moody. They're impatient. I would rather prefer to talk to an AI agent. And you don't have that in your system, they will go to the people that have it. And some other customers be like, okay, I want AI agent, but I also want to talk to a human. When an AI agent doesn't get me, can I still talk to a human? You need to put all of that in place. Because customers are humans. Hello, they're not robots. We change our minds any moment. We want AI. Now I want to talk to an AI. I don't want to talk to that call center agent, all right? They are very impatient. They're very rude. And the next moment, they're like, oh, is there an actual human being here I can talk to? I don't want the system anymore. But those two things need to be in place. That is how customer experience is changing. So you either win the experience or you lose the customer. You can say, these customers are difficult. They want one thing today and tomorrow they want the other one. You as a business, your role is to provide what your customers need, is to give them what they need. 24/7 availability. Can people only call the office at 9 a.m. in the morning? Meanwhile, they had a problem at midnight and they will have to wait till 9 a.m. That is so 2010. Can your customers get on your business website and have solutions to the things they're looking for? Can they call a call center and an AI agent handle the problems they are dealing with while you are sleeping or even while you're on holiday? If you don't think about that, the businesses that want to give their customers availability 24/7, you're going to lose your customers to them. That is something important. Customer experience is very important. And keep humans in the lead. I know there's the other aspect of keep humans in the loop, right? To oversee what AI is doing. This is different. You keep humans in the lead. And I know that these two looks like they are in love, right? That was not the intention, okay? Leadership cannot be outsourced to algorithms. Leadership cannot be automated. Human in the lead means knowing when to trust the system and when to override it. Because when you understand these nuances and you make sure that there is a human in the lead, you are going to survive, not just survive, but thrive the disruption that is happening. This means building teams that don't blindly follow output, teams that question AI, teams that challenge and understand the limits of the machine. That is what human in the lead means. You don't completely outsource everything to artificial intelligence. You keep humans in the lead. Let them be the one leading the conversations. Because AI does not understand ethics, organizational values, organizational culture, or long-term consequences the way humans do. That is why humans must consistently be in the lead. So the role of human in the lead is to guide, question, and direct intelligence system towards meaningful business outcomes. What type of human do you have in the lead? Maybe that's the question I should ask. It's not just any human you should have in the lead, all right? Two blind people cannot lead because the funnel is there, the container is there, the task is simple, yet things still go wrong because tools don't solve human misalignment. Is your AI adoption aligned to your business needs? Lack of clarity creates this level of friction we just watched. People step in, step over, and step on each other. So it's important to have the tools, it's important to have the technology, but it's even more important to understand how to use them and the impact and how to align it with your business needs. And you have to manage AI like you manage actual talent, or it will mismanage you. In the past, managers were responsible primarily for coordinating people, assigning tasks, and overseeing productivity. But today, management is being redefined completely. The role of leaders is evolving from managers of people to also managers of AI agents. So your leadership has to be able to understand how to manage AI agents because you cannot escape it. AI agents are the future. Digital employees are the future. Are you going to only stick to managing actual physical humans, or you are going to learn how to manage AI agents? Or because you don't understand how to manage AI agents, you're going to avoid AI agents completely. These are things to think about. As a leader, you have to learn how to manage intelligent systems. That is the new requirement of leadership. Yes, you can manage people, but can you manage agents? Can you manage digital employees? Because future leaders will not just manage human teams, they will manage hybrid teams made up of humans and AI agents. That is the new leadership requirement for the future of business. Cybersecurity is not just an IT function. This is something to also pay attention to. If I were to ask, if cybersecurity were an economy, how big of an economy do you think it would be on a scale of 1 to 10? Anybody can answer? Except the people who are in Cape Town, because I'm sure you have an idea. Anybody can try? On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a cybercrime do you think it is? 9, okay. Anyone else? 8. 7. Hello, my people. Anyone here want to try? 6. 10. 5. 10. Who said 5? Okay, nobody wants to run up. All right, cool. According to Cybersecurity Ventures, if cybercrime were a country, it would be considered the 3rd largest economy in the world. Let that sink in. That's how big cybercrime is. coming in only after the United States and China, projected at $10.5 trillion. And these cyber attacks are becoming more sophisticated, automated, and increasingly powered by AI itself. But on one side, AI powers cyber attacks. On the other side, it prevents cyber attacks. So AI is both the attacker and the defender. Again, this is the frenemy effect I talk about in my book. So if you don't have AI, it doesn't mean that criminals don't have AI to attack you. They have it. So you need to have it so that you can fight off whatever attack is coming towards your businesses. Because AI can detect anomalies in real time, flag unusual behavior before damage is done, and automate threat responses and learn patterns faster than any human team can. Cybersecurity is a huge issue globally. And if criminals are adopting the AI, what about you as a business leader? Think about that. Criminals are not going to wait for you. If your business does not have the security in place to protect it, criminals are going to use AI to get it. Many businesses today focus on the physical aspect of safety, which is have the best locks, cameras on the premises, and all of that. But AI doesn't care whether there's a camera on your premises. When a bad actor is using it to attack you, they don't care about the cameras on your premises. So you need to have AI in place to also fight the threats that AI brings through cyber security. I was in Singapore and this was a big story. 25 million USD. And it has happened, Singapore is one of the financial hubs of the world. So this has happened frequently in Singapore. And it's not just Singapore, it's happening in many, many other parts of the world. Deepfakes being used, and you would think this is an actual person, but it's not. Someone was telling me a story the other day how he sent a deepfake voice note to his wife, and the wife couldn't tell the difference that it wasn't his actual voice, just to test and see how aware people are. So to let them know, if you were to receive something like this, and someone said it was from me, be careful how you respond, because it can sound like me, it can look like me, but it might not be me. Those are the threats. And AI can help us prevent them. As much as bad actors are using AI to attack people, the company without AI protection in place is going to face things like this. So human plus AI beats human alone. The future does not belong to humans alone, and it does not belong to AI alone. It belongs to those who know how to combine these two. It is not humans versus AI, it is two. We have to work together. It's a relationship where one person cannot say, okay, I'm going that way, you go that way. No. It's a combination of both. Because when the analytical power of AI is combined with human creativity, experience, and strategic thinking, intelligence is amplified, decisions become more informed, ideas emerge faster, and innovation accelerates. That's the beauty of combining humans plus AI. You can expand on your ideas. And AI culture is also important because culture determines AI success. Organizations invest in tools, in the technology, good, great, brilliant. These systems are important, like I have highlighted. We cannot do without them. But we also need to understand the culture aspect of it, the mindset of the people. How do people receive this? How is your team reacting to this? As a leader, it is your job to make sure that the people are not having a whole lot of AI anxiety. Explain to them what this is all about, why the business is taking this trajectory, and why this thing is necessary. Don't leave the people to figure it out on their own, because you have bought this technology now, you're like, oh, okay, everyone for themselves. No. You can have the best technology and still fail because the culture is broken. Because you cannot build an AI-powered business on top of a fear-based, rigid, or outdated mindset. If your people are afraid and anxious, as a leader, you need to address that. And another aspect of it is the fear and shame of admitting to using artificial intelligence in the workplace. You know, when ChatGPT first hit the market, if you ask someone, did you use ChatGPT in this report? They'll be like, of course not. Why would you even ask me that? You know, people were afraid to answer or to admit to using artificial intelligence. And so if that fear still persists in your team or in your organization, that is the first sign that the culture is broken. Because people should be proud to own up to the fact that they use AI in this report they are submitting. They use AI to research. They use AI to expand on their ideas. Your people should be proud of that. If your people are not proud of that, something is wrong. If your people are not proud of that, they cannot be more innovative, because when you're doing something and hiding, of course, you cannot fully explore and experiment with it because they are hiding it. They don't want anybody to know they're using AI. That is where the culture gets broken, and that is where adoption stalls and things don't go the way you plan, even though you've spent so much money on these tools, but the culture is what determines if the AI adoption succeeds or fails. So you have to adapt to change. One of my favorite quotes is from Charles Darwin, and he said, "It is not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change." Are there any intelligent people in the room? A show of hands. I have bad news for you. It is not your intelligence that will save you, but rather your ability to adapt fast. Kakuza said, "The act of life is the constant readjustment to your surroundings." If you look at the chameleon, I don't mean those people you call chameleons that you cannot trust, right? That's not what I'm talking about. But if you look at this chameleon, if the environment is becoming pink, what does it do? It changes to pink. It doesn't sit back and say, "But I really love blue. I really love green. I don't want to turn into pink." Because if a chameleon doesn't change to its environment, it is exposed to threats. Hello? It is the only way for the chameleon to survive if it adjusts to its environment. The same applies to your business. If you are not changing to the color of the new environment, you are exposed to threats that somehow you may or may not survive. So you may love blue so much. Okay, somehow I'm wearing blue. You may love red, but if the environment is becoming a different color, you have to adapt to that new color. And the two phases of AI that I mentioned earlier, many people think of one phase, the famous one, right? The Terminator model of AI, which is that AI is dangerous, uncontrollable, and will replace humans. The focus of this particular phase of AI is that of job loss, surveillance, deepfakes, autonomous, and existential risk. And the narrative is that machines will overpower humanity. We've seen it in movies. The emotion it triggers is that of fear, resistance, and distrust. And that is why holding on to one view of AI will cripple you. Will cripple you as an individual, will cripple you as a business. The other phase of AI is that of Iron Man. How many people have watched the Iron Man movie as well? Awesome. The view of the Iron Man phase of AI or model of AI is that AI is a powerful assistant that augments human capabilities. Someone said AI is an assistant. So true. And the focus is that of productivity, creativity, healthcare, problem solving, decision making, and much more. The narrative is that AI is the co-pilot. Humans stay in control with machines enhancing what we do. Machines amplify what we do. The emotions it triggers are that of curiosity, empowerment, and collaboration. That is the beauty of the Iron Man model of adoption of artificial intelligence. Because if you look at the Iron Man, the suit he puts on, once he gets into that suit, he becomes much more powerful. He can go to places that a human cannot go without the suit. So AI becomes what? Your Iron Man suit. As a business, you put on AI. As an individual, you put on AI, and it can amplify you 10x, amplify your business 10x, amplifies your team 10x. Because Tony Stark is a man with big ideas, a brilliant man, a genius actually in the movie. But when he steps into that suit, everything changes. He's stronger, faster, and more capable of solving problems at a scale no human could on their own. That is the power of AI when you use it as the Iron Man suit and get in and you press those buttons and tell where it goes with you. So this is very critical. Understand AI not just as one thing. Your perception of AI should be that these two worlds should come together. Yes, be aware of the terminator, of what it can do, where things can go wrong, but be much more focused on the opportunities, because when you focus so much on what could go wrong, again, it cripples you. There's something in my book that I would have loved to read, but we don't have time. Lance, I see you. So we're just going to go as we go to the end. Accountability cannot be automated. I mentioned it before. Because the danger with AI hallucinating, which Lance mentioned earlier, it is not that machines generate wrong output, but it's that humans accept it without questioning. Whatever AI gives you, you're like, yes, because why? You trust it so much to the point of default. But AI doesn't carry any responsibility for the output it generates. That responsibility falls squarely on us as humans. Machines don't stand trials, you need to remember that. Algorithms don't face any consequences. If you submit a report and something is wrong with it, guess who is getting fired? Hello? Not AI. All right? So AI doesn't lose credibility, trust, or reputation when it gets things wrong. Humans do. Businesses do. So humans remain the ethical compass as we embrace this technology. Again, human in the lead. So, what is it going to be? Are you going to take action, empower yourself, empower your business? Or are you going to bury your head in the sand and be like, I don't really think this is for me. Let me bury my head in the sand. Hopefully I wake up tomorrow morning and the world is back to 2010. It's not going to happen. And so with that being said, thank you for having me. I've come to the end of my presentation.